I recently had the opportunity to sit down with newly retired Navy Captain Brad Geary and his incredible wife Amy to discuss his 29 years in the Navy from a Christian worldview, where we looked at how they dealt with times of trial and loss and how their identity in Christ got them through those difficult times. I hope you enjoy this. Please like and share. Yesterday was easy. All right. Captain Brad and Amy Geary, thanks for joining me today.
Good to be here. Thanks for having us.
Excited, yeah. So I know you guys were on Sean Ryan and he gives you gummy bears.
Yes.
I have a gift for you that's far superior to gummy bears.
That's a bold claim. Those are pretty good bears.
Trust me. Trust me.
All right. Ooh, what do we got here? Oh, wait a second. Is this Bill's? Nice. Oh, yeah, dude.
I told you I was going to make this happen.
Oh my goodness.
I told you I was going to make this happen, Captain.
Oh, man.
See what I did there?
I do.
That's hilarious.
This is beautiful, dude. Let's see here.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to warn you, it's very sharp.
Okay, well, I expect nothing less from
because
Bill.
I have one that I cut myself on the first time I opened it. But you have to unsheath it.
Oh, I am. Don't worry.
Because
I'm savoring this moment.
He did something special for you on there.
Okay. All right.
It's snug too.
All right, I got to be careful here.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
So there's a sharp point up here, just because I like bumped my thumb with it before and it started bleeding everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
See, now I should have loosened it up first.
Can't not do it.
Oh.
I'm just unfamiliar with this.
Bill, you've made this so well.
What'd you do here?
Careful with that point.
Careful with that point. I'm not pulling. I'm just loosening the plastic. Careful.
This is not helping my anxiety.
There you go.
All right, there we go.
Now look at the spine.
Okay. Oh, the spine. There we go. All right.
The serial number.
Serial number. Nice. Oh, nice. 234.
Oh, that's awesome.
Heck yeah! Long live the brotherhood.
Yes.
And I don't know what the other thing is.
I watch my fingers. I would be mortified if I cut myself.
Was that like a call sign or something else you put on there? Was some other number?
AEBL. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask him.
Okay, maybe.
That's not ringing a bell. But I love the 234. Long live the brotherhood, dude. That is.
Careful, dude.
Brad.
Oh yeah.
Please stop, please.
That's beautiful.
Legit.
Dude, that's incredible.
Have you seen any videos of him?
No, I haven't seen videos of him doing this.
Dude, I watched some of his videos and I would lose a limb doing some of the stuff he does with that.
That's serious, man. Bill, you are a craftsman. This is incredible.
It's incredible.
Thank you. And it says Battle Axe on it.
And now we're going to put it away.
Yeah.
This is why this is why you have a wife.
Well, that has not stopped me from cutting myself many times in my career.
Yeah.
But we just did that successfully. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Bill. That's absolutely incredible.
Amtech Blades. You go to AmtechBlades.com, put Apologia in the coupon code and get 5% off your first order.
Nice.
Awesome. Or come on
or any order
and get one.
Yeah, or also that. So
yeah. That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Bill. I'm excited for that.
It's incredible, dude.
So I think this is your first interview.
That is better than gummy bears.
Yes.
Yeah.
You could slice gummy bears.
Oh yeah.
Thin with that.
I might do that now.
Yeah. Don't try that.
So I think this is your first interview where you don't have to give a disclaimer.
Yes.
You can just say what you want.
I am an officially retired. In fact, funny you say that. I think it was either late last night or this morning. I took the disclaimer off my LinkedIn profile.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. I finally was like, I no longer have to say that to people. I can just say what I want.
Almost.
Well, it's true. It's true. There's always limits. Always limits, I guess. But the freedom has already been such an exceptional gift for us. Every minute of it, we are appreciating more than the one before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't plan to match shirts either. But we both wore it for a reason. This is a shirt I did for Brad.
Yeah.
The Yesterday Was Easy Integrity episode I did. So it's got his captain's insignia on there. And and there's a call sign, which I don't know if you can talk about what that was.
The call sign Viking 01. So in the SEAL teams, our call signs are not like Top Gun. They're not really cool names or catchy phrases, but they mean something. And so every letter and number stands for something, so that when we're on missions and you call over the radio using that call sign, everyone knows by the call sign who is speaking.
Yeah.
Whether you're a pararescue man, whether you're a team leader, whether you're a commanding officer, whatever. So Viking 01 was my call sign at SDV Team 1 out in Hawaii, where I did my first command tour.
Which works well with the Viking style battle.
It is perfect.
Didn't plan that either.
No,
so.
accidental awesomeness right there.
Yeah. So I'm excited to do this interview. We've talked a lot. And if you guys can go back and see how we got connected, there's a long history. You can check out Apologia Radio, but I love watching like Sean Ryan. You've been on Sean Ryan twice now.
Yeah.
Like Mike Glover or Mike Drop, like all these different Cleared Hot, like shows like that. Because I like to geek out over the tactical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there hasn't really been any interviews I've seen where it comes from like a Christian worldview.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how did faith get you through all this stuff? And we'll get into some of those things.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do that, to be able to bless those who are Christians in their operators or in the military. And also, we've talked about this too, there's a lot of dudes that are searching.
Yeah.
And I noticed that in those interviews, they're searching, and it's like, I got the answer you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
It's Jesus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But you already got that. And so we'll get into that a lot more. So you guys basically met in the nursery at church, right?
Close.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Pretty close. Yeah. We were both raised in Orlando, Florida area.
Yeah.
And different schools, but parents ended up at the same church. They became fast friends. And so we first met in grade school. Third grade is what she says. My memory's not as good as hers. So I'm like a year or two later,
right.
but she's always right. Yeah. So yeah, really young. Really young.
At church or at school?
At church is where we met.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is awesome. And so, and you guys, when did you start dating? Like in high school or?
No. So God, I think, preserved us there and let me get through some dumb years of trying to figure things out. So we didn't start dating until college. I'd gone away to the Naval Academy, and my plan generally was, hey, at the time I thought the Navy life is not compatible with married life or not optimal, I guess. So my plan was to go do my thing. And then once I'm out of the Navy, kind of look to settle down. But I came home from my first year there. My best friend at the time, I shouldn't say at the time, one of my best friends growing up, still one of my best friends today, was dating her twin sister at the time. And so he said, hey, let's hang out this summer. Let's do some double dates. You and Amy are friends, family friends forever. Let's do this. And I think one date in, she and I were like, oh, something here.
How old were you?
18.
You guys are the same age?
She's a couple months older. She robbed the cradle.
That's literally the same as my wife and I.
Really?
That's awesome.
A month older than me.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. She's about 2-3 months older. Yeah.
3.
And so you were already in the Naval Academy then?
I just finished my first year, so I was home for about 4 weeks for the summer. And then that started, and it didn't make any sense to us. In fact, we prayed about it together because we said, hey, this makes no rational sense. I'm about to go back up there. I've got 3 more years. You can't get married while you're there. So it made no sense for us to start a relationship that is long distance
for 3 years.
For 3 years till we could even see it to fruition. But it was really, we both felt, I think, very, it just felt very natural. And like, we can't explain this. Doesn't make sense to everyone, but it makes sense to us.
Sure.
And it was really only about a year into that we knew, okay, we're going to get married.
Well, and then hindsight, looking at it, we realized God was preparing us, teaching us how to communicate.
Yes.
And so that's also helped with all the deployments.
And when she says that, and what she means is the Lord teaching me to communicate through her.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, I was the typical, call. Back then we didn't even have cell phones, really.
So
I'd call her on a payphone once a week. And she's like, well, how you doing? Fine.
I'm going to need more than that.
Yeah. I heard that a lot. I'm going to need more than that. Okay. And she had to work really hard to tease out like meaningful conversations. But man, that's when our relationship really just started thriving. Because it had to be focused on the communication and our friendship.
Yeah. So you got married then as soon as you graduated Naval Academy?
Yep. Graduated May 24th of 2000. She came up with my parents and some other family. We drove right back to Florida, got married the next week, did our honeymoon,
and then
got in the car and drove to San Diego.
To start Buds. We were just talking about that earlier. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Buds. Obviously, you kind of got a little bit famous for for the Buds 234 documentary, which I like to tell I've watched 6 times, I think. So I love it. Which is now on Prime, so you don't have to watch like a bootleg copy on YouTube anymore. So I'm excited about that. So, I mean, even talk about, your faith as Christians, being married, because you guys, there's an integral story even in the documentary of you guys and your relationship. And clearly the makers of the documentary tried to play on that, your faith.
Yeah.
They made sure they mentioned you were known as the Reverend.
That's right.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. I think we were very blessed. And please chime in, interrupt me when you think of something that I'm not covering, but we were blessed growing up in the same church. We had these incredible youth pastors, Vernon and Randy Rainwater. And, they did the normal youth group stuff, but they started an in-depth, little bit more, hey, let's dive deep into some theological issues. Doulos was what they called it. So bond serving. Okay, yeah. And so we started going to that, and we really started going layers deeper into our faith, into theology at very young ages. And you were going to say earlier, you mentioned, how were we connected to RTS?
Orangewood. I went to Orangewood.
That's right.
Which is strongly affiliated with Reformed Theological Seminary. Yes. So had some, now I know really solid teaching. I don't think I appreciated it at the time, but now, like R.C. Sproul's granddaughter was there. Like people that you now are like, oh my goodness, these are greats.
John Frame.
I just didn't realize it, you know?
It was almost one of those, like, you don't know how good you have it till later. And we look back and realize, oh man.
It was setting a foundation.
Yes.
We tapped into later on in life that, the scripture did not return void.
Yeah.
It brought us through some hard times.
Yeah. So, so that was kind of, it was tough because I remember too, also used to say, she never really wanted to get married. Because you don't like that kind of a long-term commitment, that idea of like, man, I'm locking myself to this.
I think I was scared of commitment.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I shouldn't say you didn't want to get married. It was a big leap for you.
It was.
Especially at a young age, and yet we both very much felt totally in sync and called to this marriage. And so, it was traumatic in a lot of ways for you because, she had her identical twin sister. They grew up singing together. Their early music career was just starting to blossom in Orlando, Florida. They were both getting gigs at Disney.
Oh, wow.
And then it's like, hey, you want to get married and leave all this behind and come with me to San Diego, California? And so she didn't hesitate. She's like, I'm all in, which
is when I knew it was from the Lord, because there was such peace about it that I knew it wasn't from me.
Yeah, right.
But I also was sad to leave behind a music career.
It was hard.
And it was hard. That first year was hard. But I also, when he was in Buds, realizing that it was a calling on him meant it was also a calling on me. And so we had to see it through regardless, which I think is what gave us, some strength to push through some of those moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And she, total, like, just warfighter mentality from the start, as she embraced this calling as we cleaved. So there's pros and cons being married in Buds, but at the time you could live out in town if you were married. So we had an apartment. That's great, but the downside now is, after work each day, I'd have to drive home and then drive back. So you're losing sleep time, but some of the pros are, well, you're sleeping in a nice king bed with your wife. That's better quality sleep than in the barracks. And then it got to the point where she's like, hey, this is for both of us. I want to help. How can I help? So, well, I don't know. Maybe help sharpen my knife, So I'd come back from Buds and I'd be asleep already and she's sharpening my knife in the family room for me. And then in like swimmer inspections, they're like, Brad, Geary, your knife is incredible. And they're shaving with my knife. And I'm like, thank you, instructor so-and-so. And like one or two dudes knew and they're like, you dirtbag. So she was an integral part of me getting through.
And she made cookies, right?
Yeah, dude. Oh yeah.
Like the den mother?
Dude, they were
I felt like it.
Homemade with like this icing in the middle. And I'll never forget coming out of Hell Week, when we finished Hell Week, we used to have to walk like 500 yards to the barracks. And we come out of the little medical area and she's waiting there with this huge tray of cookies.
That's awesome.
And at that point you can put whatever you want in your body. Yeah. And the calories are burned before it even gets to the bottom of your stomach. And dudes were just in love with you for the cookies. And then post Hell Week, like we talked about on 234, She had everyone over and we cooked dinner and had a huge celebration. It was great. You were kind of one of the class moms. I shouldn't say mom, but
no, because they definitely were younger. But
no, but like that.
I loved on them.
Yeah.
I still love those guys.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's funny. So after you got out of Buds, then you said you went to SDV school. Is that correct?
Yep. We packed up the apartment together. One of many mistakes that I made as a young married man. Like, hey, we don't need help. We can do this together. I think I dropped the sofa on her head as we're going up the stairs.
Oh yeah, that happened.
I convinced her the best way to do this is to just you and me. Let's load a U-Haul. Take all of our stuff and we'll drive cross country.
Yeah.
So I dropped the sofa on your head, and then I ran out of gas in the middle of Texas. Lots of mistakes in those early years.
Yeah.
But we made our way to Florida for SDV school. That's where it was back then. That's the seal delivery vehicle, undersea component, and then drove up to Virginia Beach to check in. And that's when we really first met. I'd known of Danny before that, but that's when we really met him as a close friend. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that real quick. Not Danny, but the SDV school, because you had mentioned earlier. I mean, one thing I wanted to hit on is just God's sovereignty.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Throughout everything we're going to touch today.
Yes.
That's a major factor.
That's the theme. That's the hook.
Yeah. So even SDV school, you said you were disappointed. You didn't want to go there, but now you look back and it was.
Oh yeah, it was. It's neat hindsight. I mean, there's a reason why these are cliches. But as we finished training, 9/11 had just happened. So right as we're getting ready to leave San Diego, pretty much it happened, and that changed everything for us, obviously. Because before then, we said, hey, we'll just do these 5 years. This will be a fun job, and then we'll go do something else. Everything changed, and then everyone was very excited to get to SEAL teams and go to war. And I was going to undersea school, and not where you want to go when everyone else is going to the desert. And so I was very disappointed, very frustrated. I felt like, Lord, why did we go through all this if you're taking me to the undersea stuff?
Real quick, how did that happen? Like, did they just tell you, well, you're going here?
Yeah, so it's always needs of the Navy, needs of the SEAL teams.
Okay.
And the way they used to do it back then was they wrote all the SEAL teams up on the whiteboard and had lists of everyone's names. And then they had big sheets in there. And so you'd come into the room and everyone's all amped. They know it's like the draft, Yeah. Then they pull the curtains down and you get to find your name and know where you're going.
Oh, okay.
And you can put in your preferences, but thanks for your opinion, new guy.
Yeah.
And so I'm seeing all the names. I'm going, SEAL Team 4. No. SEAL Team 5. No. Maybe I missed it. I'm going back and then in like the top right corner, there's like SDVs and it's like 4 of us. And I'm like, no. And so,
is there a reason you think they picked you guys for that? Or
I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, I did well in diving in second phase.
Yeah.
So it's possible that played into it, but I'm not really sure other than, hey, someone's got to go.
Okay.
But yeah, but to your point, sovereignty, looking back, while I didn't want to go there at the time, those were incredible years for us, formative years for us as a new SEAL officer and a couple. It's where I met Danny. I never would have met him. That guy changed my life. That whole experience was another foundational pillar in all the things that were going to come. And then, like we talked about earlier, it was later in life, back to Viking 01. I was only eligible to go do undersea as a commanding officer because I had had it previously. And I happened to be there from 2017 to 19 in that CO tour, which is when the nation shifted to great power competition being the number one priority for the Department of Defense. And so you talk about just right time, right place, right guy. You couldn't have orchestrated that.
Yeah.
And I told a lot of our buds graduates, hey, I know you have your desires. Don't worry, things are going to work out. You may not want to go somewhere today, but 15 years from now, that may be the hotness. And what you're doing now will build a foundation for that later, and this will all work out. You'll end up having a lot of fun no matter what.
Cool. So what year was that then that you?
2001 timeframe, mid to late 2001.
For SDV Team 2?
For SDV school and then SDV Team 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you went to Virginia Beach. That's where you met Danny.
Yep. That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So before I move to the next, because one thing I wanted to mention was over the history of the SEALs, very few SEALs are killed in combat compared to the rest of the military.
Yeah.
You've experienced probably the majority of loss of the SEALs over
It's been insane.
Yeah. So I just wanted to preface that. That's why this is important. How do you handle those type of tragedies as a Christian? And so, okay, so it's 2001-ish. So let's just go, unless there's anything else you want to add, let's just get right into Red Wings.
Jump into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this too has a lot to do with God's sovereignty.
Yes.
Because you were supposed to be there and you weren't. So just bring us into that for those who know what in the world we're talking about.
Of course. So that was my second platoon with Danny now. We did 2 back-to-back platoons together. And we were doing at the time reconnaissance out of the back of the SDV. This was really when the drones were just now getting on the scene. So prior to that, when you don't have eyes in the sky, you have to send people to remote areas to take pictures and video and come back with intelligence. And so that was what we were specializing in at the time. So we were very much sequenced to go downrange together. And at the time, if there weren't any SDV missions on the docket, they would farm us out to their SEAL teams to go support them by doing these reconnaissance things. So Danny and I had trained for that. We were ready for that. We were psyched to go to Afghanistan together. Couples from the platoon were going to go to Afghanistan, and a couple of the other dudes are going to go to Iraq. And then there was an administrative snafu. And so they said, hey, you're not going to be able to go now because your orders came in and you're going to have to, you don't have time to deploy. And so I was heartbroken because, I mean, Galilee, like I said, coming out of Buds, all I wanted to do was get downrange and test myself there. And now I'd finally gotten to that point where we're about to go. And they said, no, too many administrative problems, not going to work. So then at the last minute, at the time, development group was taking augments to come help with staff work, but their deployments were a lot shorter. They were on a faster repetitive cycle, but shorter time downrange. They said, you can actually squeeze one of these in. Do you want it? 100%. Let me go and at least do that. So I'm downrange and contributing to the effort.
Was that in Afghanistan?
Yep. Okay. So I was actually right down the road from where Danny was in Bagram. We were just different compounds. I ended up being with the JSOC compound. He was with the Siege of Sodif. And so we met up while we were there, but we were just doing different missions at that point. But if things had gone the way I thought they should have gone, I was supposed to be with him doing that stuff. And then the irony in the whole thing was when I came home from the deployment early, Danny died within like a week or two of me being home. And then they said, oh, hey, we messed up. The admin thing wasn't really a thing. You could have deployed with the guys in the first place anyway. And so as I'm like 25, 26 at the time, still young in my faith relatively, still figuring things out. Yeah. And this was our first loss. And like you said, since Panama, this was the largest loss of life in SOF since Panama. And I really wrestled with God on that one. And a lot of, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. What if I had been there? Would it be different? Would Danny still be alive? Would I have made different decisions than Murph? Who knows? Yeah. I learned pretty quickly that's not a healthy place to spend too much time. But interestingly enough, another good friend of mine from my church, Mark Hermanson, had just given me the book Desiring God by John Piper. And so, and that's one of those ones where you read a page or two, and you have to go back and reread that page or two like 5 more times to kind of conceptualize the depth of where he was taking us. Yeah. But that was really the first time, that intro, I read that book right before Danny died, and that really started introducing this idea of God's sovereignty to us and trusting in him and through him, even when it doesn't make sense from our perspective. Yeah. And that idea of Christian hedonism. Yeah. So those were like things that were starting to take root in us, back to your comment earlier, on these foundational bricks that had been laid through some sound theological mentorship that we hadn't even realized what it was, but all of a sudden, John Piper started bringing us back to that, which was...
It became tangible.
Tangible.
Yes.
The past learning.
Yes.
Yeah. So, man, that's good. So you said you struggled with even some survivor's remorse for a while,
absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean...
Well, tell us about that.
Man.
And how do you give that to God?
Well, you wrestle with him until he pulls your hip out of socket.
That's an option. I kept reminding him that God had him there for Patsy. God had him there for some of the guys that were there. Like, it wasn't by accident. The Lord didn't turn away from his throne and say, where did Brad go? Oh, he's back in Virginia Beach. There was a reason. Yeah. We're not going to understand that, but part of part of the thought process is who would have been there. I mean, Brad was the best person to love on his family.
Yeah. And I was the only one home. And so it was good for us to be there.
And that was 2005?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you just did 20 years. Yeah.
25. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do want to back up, just in case people don't know who we're even talking about. So Danny Dietz, he was your swim buddy.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't seen Lone Survivor, like that's the story we're talking about, Marcus Luttrell. And I do recommend reading the book first. It's funny because I had seen the movie years ago. This. And then I saw the interview, were on his show. And so I went back, listened to the book. And the book's a little bit different than the movie, which, they had to condense things. So it's helpful to listen to the book.
Better than movies.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's what we're talking about. So it's, and you're actually in Lone Survivor, which I didn't realize.
No, I mean, again, there's a theme through our career of being thrust into the limelight without wanting that.
Right.
From 234, I mentioned on Sean Ryan, we had a class protest.
About it didn't go over well.
Yeah, didn't know. No, turns out they don't really care what you think there. And then even in Lone Survivor, they took that 234 footage and they spliced it into the opening credits. We didn't even know that until we're sitting in the theater watching it for the first time. Hugely emotional moment for us as we're just like, whew, this is going to be heavy. And I'd met with some of the actors before, and so we kind of knew their heart going into this. And the director, Peter Berg, really, really good dude.
Yeah.
Just really wanted this to be honoring for the boys. And so we were very emotional. And all of a sudden, we're like, okay, here we go. And then I'm on the screen. I was like, what?
And there was like an extreme close-up of you at one point. Too,
We're like, nobody asked us. Like, do I get any money from that? Like, turns out you don't.
Did you even get credited at all?
No. Which I was glad. I was just mad I was on screen. Again, we didn't want that. But funny.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
So that was so what was it? 19 total died in that mission.
Oh,
is that right?
Dude, I'm blanking right now.
Yeah, something like it. It was a lot.
Between the 160th and the team guys and then the guys on the ground, it was something like that.
Yeah.
I feel horrible. I can't remember off the top of my head.
I may have made that number up. I don't know. It was in my head.
Accurate.
Yeah, because you're right. We just hit the 20th anniversary from that the other day. Yeah. You're right.
So, I mean, Danny wasn't even, he got added to that at the last minute, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Because that was, the other three dudes were all SDV Team 1.
Yeah.
And Danny was SDV Team 2. And I can't remember the context. We just talked about it. But it was something like their comms guys, something happened, and Danny was on deck, and they're like, hey, you want to jump in? So he did, and I can't remember all the specifics on how it worked out. But that wasn't the dudes he would normally roll with. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about some of or maybe you can't talk about some of the issues with that mission?
I mean, I can talk about some of it. It was, I can't remember. I think I talked about this with Marcus. One of the frustrating things for me on that one was, like I said, I'd been augmenting development group. And near the end of that deployment, they sent me up to Asadabad, which is in kind of the Northeast. And I was sitting with a fire team, a dev group fire team up there. And I'm just learning. I'm a brand new lieutenant, and I'm watching them roll. And they're letting me go on the wire, out of the wire with them. And one day the team leader comes in. We're good friends today. I love this dude. But he comes in the room and he said, and this is a battle hardened, just this guy, like, tons of respect for this guy. And he comes and he says, hey, I was just pitched a mission up in this mountain range. I said, no, because there's no way to sneak up there without getting compromised. And he said, the only way I'll take our team in is if they JDAM everything that looks like a cave, and we'll go do exploitation and look for the evidence and for the bad guys. And I'm learning. So I'm a brand new lieutenant. I'm like, oh yeah, this is professionalism. Like the fact that this guy turned down an op because it didn't measure up in his risk gain analysis. And he had the guts to say that and hold the line. So it was formative for me. I'm watching this, Then I come home, and then we get the word, and then I'm going to the team, and I'm listening to the intel updates, and I start to connect some dots, and I realize, hey, that's the same mountain range. Hey, wait a second, that's the same op. And so there was a lot of frustration on my end from a young junior dude on, hey, how do we get to a point where development group turns down an op because the risk gain analysis doesn't add up, and they just kicked it down to Siege Soda and got these other dudes to do it? And so there was a lot of anger for a few years there too on that op never should have happened. Danny never should have been there. I don't know who made those decisions and why or how, having done enough wartime deployments, I don't think it was malice. I don't even necessarily think it was, it's often not some huge conspiracy. It's often not some like, it's just the fog of war, and you get some aggressive people in a spot who make a different decision than should have been made.
Yeah.
And that's the regret that comes with wartime decisions. But either way, there was a lot of anger for a few years there on just wrestling with that.
Had you and Danny seen anything kinetic prior to that?
No. That was it.
So that was
our
his
first time.
Wow.
Yeah.
When was the last time you talked to Danny?
It was at a Green Bean Cafe. So on most of those deployed areas, you have this. It's like Starbucks is popular here. The Green Bean, for some reason, is popular overseas in a lot of places. And it's almost, it was on almost every base I ever went to.
Okay.
So we're sitting at a Green Bean coffee place there on Bagram Air Base and just sharing stories. Oh, what was this like, Danny? He's like, what's it like over there? And we're just swapping stories, comparing notes. And we were both talking about, we were both getting to the point in our career where we would be able to screen for development groups soon. We were both talking about, is that something we want to do? Do we want to cross that threshold? So he was very curious about, what are you seeing over there? What's the operating environment like? What are the dudes like? And so we were having a lot of those conversations, and just, I think we did a lot of daydreaming together about the future. Yeah. We got married. I mean, I was married for earlier with you than he was with Patsy, but we were in their wedding. We bought houses at the same time. Wow. I mean, like, you know, he's like, you gotta come check out this furniture I bought, Brad. And I'd come in, and he was very proud of this furniture that he bought his wife, and he outfitted the house. And so, I mean, these are the conversations you have as you're building your lives together in parallel. And I mean, just taking these steps as really good friends for the first time.
Yeah.
Is, Anyway.
So how long was that before the Red Wings?
How long was what?
Like when you talked to him last?
Sorry. A couple weeks.
A couple weeks.
It was near the end of my deployment, about halfway through his.
Okay.
And then we parted ways. You know, bro hugged. See you soon, dude.
Yeah.
As you said, especially prior to Red Wings, we had done really well statistically and had not lost many SEALs at all. There's the onesies, twosies here and there.
Yeah.
But I do think that had produced a little bit of organizational ego, maybe, where we started thinking we were, probably better than we were.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, while you knew you were doing high-risk stuff, you never once really think that, I'm going to lose my best friend.
Yeah.
It just doesn't really, you don't really allow that to come into your calculus until it's forced to.
Yeah. So this is going to bring you into the conversation a little bit. So you find out, you didn't know for about a week, was it?
Yep.
You knew there was something that happened, but you didn't know if anyone had survived.
That's right.
So you were probably at Patsy's from that moment on.
Yeah.
Yes. We are actually having a community group at a restaurant.
With our church.
And got the call that Brad needed to be over there ASAP. So I handed Braden off to a family and my son. And
he was like 2 at the time?
Yeah, maybe. And then we went over there and didn't leave. I mean, it was pretty much waiting with her. Even just sitting and letting her, she was keeping herself busy. She was cleaning everything. She was trying to but even just sitting there and being with her, that's what we did.
Yeah.
Which was great, because at the time, our church group freed us up, because they served us so that we could then serve Patsy by running errands or picking up food or whatever it was. We would not have been able to do had we not had our church community who stepped in the gap for us.
It's huge. It's huge. And then Danny's mom and dad and sister and brother came in too. And so that was the first time we met them. Not great situation to first meet family, but they live in Colorado. Yeah. So, and then we tell stories, try to kill time.
Sure.
Yeah. Convince yourself and everyone that he's going to be the one that survived.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
So in your heart of hearts, did you think that he was the one that survived?
I did.
Yeah,
I did. I'd convinced myself too.
Yeah.
Danny was this little spider monkey.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Yeah.
Like the guy was wiry. He was invincible. I had really convinced myself. I'm like, Danny's gonna be the one. Danny's gonna be the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you actually had a false alarm, right?
We did. Yeah, we did. We had just left the house for the night with some other friends. We were smoked.
Yeah.
And I went to, it was like a local diner, like right up the street. So let's just get some late night food. And just, it was you, me, and 2 or 3 other wives. And we're sitting there and I get a phone call. I said, hey, all forces are recovered. They've got Danny. And we just
let down.
We all started crying. You know, it's like, oh, thank God. And then I said, but don't go tell the parents yet. And his wife, don't tell them. We need to double check, make sure, you know. And then it was like 20 minutes later. Hey, false alarm, sorry. So thankfully we hadn't gone over to say anything.
Yeah.
And then it was really only then I think the next day or so after that is when we got the final word that no, he was gone.
Yeah. So tell us about this. This is a pivotal moment that involves both of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Man. I mean, it's so much of it is a blur. It's been a hot minute.
Yeah.
But there's these flashbulb moments of just grief and despair and brokenness that I will never forget. I told the story with Marcus that I was at the airport with Danny's dad, and I got the call, get to the house.
It's a heavy story.
Oh, dude, that was heavy.
Yeah.
Get to the
I
house.
was there. You
were at the house.
You were with Patsy.
I was already
Okay.
there with
Yep.
Patsy. He went to get the car.
Yeah.
And Patsy was flipping between news stations.
She was an avid researcher. And I knew that if someone didn't come to the door and it was on the news, it would be a bad situation. And so you got the call. Yep.
And you called me.
I called you to say, get ready.
And I said, it's about to break on the news. Like something was coming up. And I was like, Brad, you guys have to race here. You have to speed here. Like something has to happen.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
The CO and the chaplain were getting uniforms on.
Yep. I remember this.
And I was like, we don't have time for that. Like, we don't have time for that. I don't care what they're wearing. They need to get here. And sure enough, they actually showed up. I think only one person was in. The CACO officer may have been the only one, the casualty assistance officer was the only one in uniform, but the CO came like in a Hawaiian shirt and board shorts because it was racing the news.
I'd forgotten that detail.
I don't forget.
Yeah, so I pulled up with Danny's dad.
And you couldn't tell him?
No.
How long was that ride with him?
20 minutes. I mean, heavy on my soul.
Yeah.
And part of me, still feels guilt for that,
Sure.
But it wasn't it wasn't right. It was just, it was an impossible scenario. But so we pull up to the house. I'm like, hey, I'll meet you in there in a second, Dan. He was Dan Sr. I said, I'll meet you in a second. And I could see the chaplain and the CO kind of in the shadows around the corner. And so he goes inside. I go grab them. I think as Dan goes in, I look over and I could see you through the door even now. I remember. And it was just like, oh my gosh, here we go. Like walking toward just something that you don't want to walk toward, but you have no choice. Yeah. Yeah. It was horrible.
And you probably didn't even have to say anything.
No, I mean, there's nothing to say, right? Like, as soon as the door opened and Patsy's standing there, I could see you behind her. She sees the CO and chaplain. She knew. But they have to say it anyway.
Yeah.
So they do.
Yeah.
And everyone you want to wish yourself away from the scenario. And, I could hear Danny's mother screaming in the back, as she saw it all happening. And sorry, sometimes I can tell the story and I'm like nothing, and then other times for some reason
it gets you.
I don't know why.
So I think you said you saw Patsy faint, hit the ground or something. Against these moments. So it's like I remember there was two things. One,
she fell to the ground.
She collapsed.
I mean, it was almost simultaneously. Like
it was all
the
so
ladies.
fast.
I mean,
Everyone.
it was said, and it was almost like synchronized. Hit the floor. I don't know if it's just instinctual, but
I mean, that's if I've learned anything through dealing with this grief and suffering is. You never know how someone's going to respond to traumatic grief like that. You never know, and you can't judge either way. But she hit the ground. I think she popped up almost instantaneously, and then she ran out the door, just running down the street. Running. I think we've described it before as running, trying to run from reality.
Yeah.
get away from this situation. And we had to like chase her down, bring her back to the house. And then I think as that wave of grief caught her finally, is when she dropped her knees again and she starts throwing up on the carpet. And I'm like, I think I was hugging someone else, and I look over and I see you holding up her hair. She's just vomiting on the carpet. And everyone's you're standing around like, oh, how do you...
You can't fix it. There's nothing you can do.
And
mourn with those who mourn in that moment.
Nothing prepares you for that.
Yeah.
There's nothing to do. Nothing to do.
So then as, Christians, how did you guys handle, and now this was your first loss too, right?
Yeah.
So now you have a Gold Star family that you're caring for, which is not like in your community, that's not a 1 week thing.
No.
Like this is permanent.
Lifetime.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that now as the Christian den mother, right? Like how do you handle that?
Just show up, be there, love. If she or any of them need anything, you drop what you are doing. You, because you want to be the one to love on them. There might be, I don't know. You just be. She's asked us before, do you have pictures that I may maybe not have seen before? Do you have any more stories? Like even years later, Brad would find a picture and it would make her day, just to be like, I've never seen this.
Yeah.
This photo of him. I've never heard this story, or a card that he wrote to Brad and sharing it. Just little glimpses of life that she hadn't.
Yeah. You spent 5 hours digging through old photos because you know that if you find
100%.
the one, it'll give her, that glimpse of like, joy in this moment. And so you just do all that.
Right.
And back to John Piper, it wasn't until years later I would read Suffering and the Sovereignty of God, where he talks about this.
Okay.
But as a Christian, you don't throw out Christian platitudes. That's not the moment to be like, it's all in God's plan.
That's the worst thing you can do.
Dude,
you weep with those who weep.
Yes.
You don't say anything.
You just grieve with them.
Yeah. And then later you help remember them. You honor them. And the Gold Star spouses have been incredible with their spouse's legacy. They don't let it die. They're remembered so well. Those women are incredible. My heroes, like hard as nails.
Sure.
Yeah.
This, if you don't feel comfortable answering this question, it's okay. But being Christians dealing with that loss of tragedy, was there a noticeable difference in how you guys dealt with that compared to those who maybe didn't have Jesus, who didn't have Christ?
That one was so long ago, it's hard to say, but I can say that having now looking back at multiple tragic situations, everyone, like I said, everyone deals with grief in different ways.
Sure.
And I don't think necessarily being a Christian means you're going to do the right thing, because there's seasons where I drank heavy after a couple losses where it's like, dude, that probably wasn't the rest, turn to God, not the bottle. But at least I think when we get through our missteps, we had that anchor to keep coming back to God's sovereignty. And I think that helped keep us grounded through all the losses, and come back to like, okay, yes, Lord. You are the way, the truth, and the life. Okay, you have a plan. You are sovereign. I don't understand. I can't see it with my earthly eyes, and I get mad and frustrated. And I want to yell, and I do. Read the Psalms.
Psalm 139 is one that grounded me, and I thank my Bible teacher. It was one in high school.
Yes, please do.
While I was in high school, and I had not done well on a test. And there were several of us that hadn't. And he was a coach, actually, we called him Coach Brown, said, if you memorize all of Psalm 139, I will take that bad score, I will rip it up, it'll be washed clean, and this is what you have. And it was, to me, I was in theater, I was in music, I can memorize a psalm, like no big deal. That was so impactful for me. Psalm 139, I would totally sit and read it. it talks about the sovereignty of God from the very beginning when you are knit together so wonderfully in your mother's womb. He knows you. All your days were ordained for you before one of them came to be. I remember reading through that in high school, and even then, like we had grown up around Reformed teachings, right? And I remember being proud as a high schooler. Like, what do you mean God knows what I'm going to wear tomorrow? Well, I'm gonna wear the purple outfit, and then I'm just going to get up and change my mind and put on the blue outfit. Oh wait, he already knows that?
What do you mean Brad and I are going to wear the same shirt?
Right. What do you mean God?
Precisely.
God well, where's my, like, can I surprise him? And I remember my spirit wrestling that and praying in bed at night, just wrestling with his foreknowledge and then his planning. And finally my spirit settled down to, no, he knows every hair on my head. He directs kings and kingdoms. But all your days were ordained for you before one of them came to be. And so when we joined the military, or when I followed him, to Buds, I think that the word does not return void. And I drew on Psalm 139. So I thank Coach Brown for taking my test and ripping it up and anchoring me into the sovereignty of God in Psalm 139. I encourage everyone to read it.
And submit to it.
Because there is nothing we're going to do to change our hour, our minute, our how. Do we understand it? No. I'm not going to say that it's, it's this plan that I'm like, but I can't change it.
Yeah.
We may not like it, but his ways are better.
Yeah.
And so I don't understand why we lost friends. But I also know that it wasn't, there's no mistakes.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason, and there's a plan, and he's the creator of it. So I think that when people are like, how did he deploy and, you sleep at night? It was like, well, it could be down the street that that his time is up, or overseas doing what he loves to do and fight for freedom and justice and for people so they can sleep easy in their beds at night. That's how I rested in that. And it could have easily been a knock at my door. And I would have had to have sat in the same exact psalm, knowing that those days were numbered and ordained. And
I lost count of the times through our marriage she has referenced Psalm 139.
Yeah.
Psalm 139. It has been
David,
the anchor for you, which is super cool because especially through the last part of our active duty time, like I found such solace in the Psalms.
Yeah.
I could not get enough of David. I just would read it, read it.
Wow. I mean, you can obviously rest in according to Romans, it was for your good and his glory, right?
Yeah.
So even like lost with Danny is like, how is this for my good?
Yeah.
Right.
How do I glorify God in this? Right.
Well, and that's that. You know what? I'm glad you brought that up. Having a relationship with the Lord doesn't mean we don't question. Doesn't mean I don't go fisticuffs either. Like, tell me why. Like, but at the end of the day, you say, like, you're in control and I'm going to trust you. But there's still hurt and it's still hard. And it's the same thing with our pruning season. Even at the end of Psalm 139, it says, search me, O Lord, and know my heart. Test me and see if there's any offensive way in me and lead me in the way everlasting. That's a dangerous prayer. That's not an easy prayer. Search me and know, like, we're in a depraved, fallen, broken world. That is a hard prayer. But you want to be led in the way everlasting. So okay, Lord, here I am.
Yeah. That's powerful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm
falling in love with her all over.
Yeah, I know. This is I love this. And I want to put a little pause on that conversation. I know that's going to come to play more when we get to Adam.
For sure.
I know you got some stories about that.
For
sure. But let's just camp out there for a second, because that was one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, and I think you basically just answered it, but like all the times he's gone, like how do you not only deal with the fear within your own heart, but then you have children.
That's
how do you lead them and encourage them not to be fearful?
Right.
When dad's gone and obviously, I mean, I'm sure you didn't like shelter them from what was going on. Like,
no, you try to some degree. At some point, you have to, you don't give them the full truth. It's, you give them, but more than most people.
Sure. Yeah,
you have to face some hard realities.
More than most people.
Yeah.
But I think that was intentional. I think as an adult, we have a hard time understanding what we're feeling and then putting legs to that, or compartmentalizing it, or even working through it. So I can only imagine as a child, like, what do you do with these emotions? You sometimes act out most of the time. So I remember even Team 4 in development group, when Brad was there, the kids were getting a little bit older and struggling with, Dad was gone.
Too much.
In 3 years, he was home 9 months total, not consecutive, like a week here, a week there. Like, so they struggled with that. And at first, as a mom, I just see them acting out, not realizing they're hurting like I'm hurting. They miss him like I miss him. And so I put up an emotion chart in the house. And I remember having their name on little hearts. And I'm like, you may not know what you're feeling. You may switch feelings during the day, but give me a heads up. So put your heart on, it was a picture of like anger, sadness. I mean, it was a lot of emotions. Put your heart where that is, so that I have an expectation to come to. Tell me more about that feeling. Whatever it was, we hired play therapist to get ahead of any emotional. But I wanted to make it tangible for them. Emotions aren't bad. What we do with emotions can be bad.
Sure.
How we display that. So I wanted them to know that the emotion itself was healthy. And so we worked through that, I think, together.
Yeah.
I didn't shield them from loss. They saw the amount of funerals I went through his career. But also knowing that God is sovereign and talking through that, I think opening up that communication was better than hiding it, because then they could come to me and say, I don't understand.
Yeah.
I'll be like, great, babe, I don't understand either. Let's sit down and pray about this. Let's cry about this. Let's seek help. Like, whatever it was, I think communication was key.
It is. And I think, too, we've been talking a lot about this lately. We can teach our kids everything we want. We can have Bible studies. We can take them to Sunday school. We can read scripture at the dinner table. That's all excellent. I think they learn more about Jesus by watching how we act when we are faced with the crisis. Yeah. Whether it's the loss, a deployment, this last 3 years.
And we have failed, and then we've been honest about those failures.
Yeah,
like,
that's the other part, right?
Us.
Like, hey, Dad could have handled that one a lot better, guys. Like, sorry I kicked in your door out of anger, son.
I remember that time.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I mean, I messed up more than I didn't, but but it felt right at the time.
You were a professional door kicker, so, it's just...
I mean, those two worlds crossed at one moment. And,
but that's when you say, Mommy's going to go to timeout. I'm so frustrated right now that if I handle anything, everyone's going to regret it. So I'm going to go put myself on the third step. That's what we always did, the third step in the house.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm going to go sit on the third step for a few minutes, nobody bothering me. So I can calm down and come back. But then they would go to timeouts or have their discipline, whatever that was. But we always apologized.
Yeah, always. And when we nailed it, it was God's grace. Yeah. And then we would remember to be like, hey, let's that's an important one. Let's like, that's going to be one of those formative memories. Yeah. One of them that I was the most blown away with was we lived in Hawaii. And you remember that scare when they thought that North Korea had launched nukes to Hawaii? Do you remember that one?
Dude, I was in Hawaii.
What?
Right.
Where were you?
I think
Hawaii.
I remember this.
We were on Oahu.
Yeah.
Dude.
We were just talking about this the other day.
Crazy, right?
I have a really funny story about that, actually.
Okay, so I want to hear it.
But go ahead.
It was our daughter's birthday weekend, and we had plans to go to like the water, like the SeaWorld version. It's not SeaWorld, but it's their version out there, Sea Life Park, and swim with the dolphins. That's what she wanted to do on her birthday. And so we wake up that morning, go to my son showing us his phone, which is doing the emergency alert. And he's like, Dad, what's this? And he's a little scared.
The sirens are going off. You remember, Hawaii has those big warning systems.
Yeah. So we wake up to this, and I'm like, what? And I'm looking at the phones, we're listening to the sirens, and I was like, this is going down. So we run downstairs. We're trying to come up with a quick plan. And, you're doing all the math, and it's like, they're probably aiming for Pearl Harbor, but how accurate is their targeting? So is it better to run or not? Or, And in the end, we just paused and we
You're
realized,
not going to outrun the fallout, you know?
back to Psalm 139. We
Yes.
realized like, hey, what if we get on the road and then that's where the missile hits, you know? But what if we stay here and it goes there?
You're not going to outrun your moment.
Right.
Like,
Right.
when God calls you, he calls you.
So it was this beautiful moment of total submission. And we said, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to kneel around our leather ottoman in our family room as a family, and we're going to pray. And it was like, guys, we might all go get to see Jesus at the same moment today.
And there was a lot of tears and
scared
anxiousness before that.
Sure.
And then when we started praying,
Yeah.
tears dried up. It was pretty amazing. I mean, it was the peace that
incredible.
passes all understanding.
Yeah.
That's
We
amazing.
texted the families, like we were like, we love you.
Said our goodbyes.
This might be it. And turned off the
I
phones. They're all
legit said our
freaking out on the
goodbyes.
East Coast, you know, and we're just praying together. And then it was like, 2-minute prayer turns into 5 minutes, turns into 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I don't think this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And then the funniest part about all that, the weirdest thing that I didn't wrestle with was like, I was a little disappointed because it's like, the operator and you's like, let's go.
Yeah.
Like what a great moment if you can all go see Jesus at the same time. And now none of us would have to deal with the suffering and loss of losing each other through the years. And it was this incredible thought. And then, so we were like, well, now what? And our daughter's like, let's go swim with the dolphins. So we went and swam with the dolphins. It was incredible.
That's funny.
It was incredible. But I tell that because back to this point of like, it was amazing, this moment where like we nailed it in that one where we showed them what submission to God looks like when you're the most scared, when you're the most uncertain. And it was such a beautiful thing. Yeah. It was such a beautiful thing.
So I'll tell you my story real quick.
Yeah.
So we have a church plan. Well, it's on a hiatus right now, but we had one on Kauai.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time there.
That's rough. That's rough having to go to Kauai for work.
Dude, I tell you. You know what though? Kauai's so small.
Yeah.
You know, like the most I was out there was 3 weeks, and like after 2 weeks, I was like, I'm ready to go back home. I couldn't do island time.
Yeah.
I was not.
Not
doing island time.
It's a different pace.
Yeah. So we were there, and there's on Kauai on the furthest west, there's a missile thing there, right?
Yeah.
So we're literally like 20 minutes from that, you know?
Yeah.
And so everyone's phones are going off, and I had tweaked my ankle, but then I ended up having gout, and like actually like I fractured my ankle. That's a whole other story. But like I'm limping around. I was up on the second story, and everyone's phones are going off, and I'm in the shower.
Yeah.
Like just all covered in soap. Everyone's phone, and like everyone's freaking out. And I'm like, what is going on? And there's like a window in the shower, and I'm open, and I'm looking out, and they're like, there's missiles coming, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And my wife will tell you, because I'm never in a hurry for anyone. And so they're all running. They're literally like throwing air mattresses downstairs into the garage. I'm like, what's an air mattress?
Dude, I know.
They got loaves of bread and kumquats and gallons of milk, and they're all, and I'm just sitting there like showering, looking out the window, like, what? Is this for real? You know? And so I end up like hobbling my way downstairs, and they're all like in there, like kids are like repenting of their sins to their family.
Yeah.
You know, there's crying, and I'm like, I don't think this is real. And everyone else is panicking. I'm looking like Fox News. I'm looking like there's nothing on the news, you know? And so, we eventually figured out that it was a mistake, but.
Oh, dude.
It was 45 minutes though. That was a long time.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It was scary.
Time.
But then, then you realize that's
funny that you were there too for that.
That is really funny.
Yeah. I mean, people were like, because people were on the road, they just stopped.
Yeah.
And they're putting their kids down in manholes.
Oh, yeah.
Like freaking out.
Yeah. Pulling up sewer drains and
It's crazy what fear does to you, right? Because like these fear-based decisions that are irrational, it's a nuclear bomb. Like if you survive the blast, the radiation's going to get you in the manhole cover. Like guys. But it's amazing. It's amazing what fear can do.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So let's move into extortion then.
Yeah.
That was the next big, I think, unless I'm missing anything, that's probably the next big tragedy.
That was the next big one, yeah.
Yeah. And what year was that?
2011.
It was 6 years in between.
Yeah.
So bring us into that. I'm not as familiar with that. I know you had mentioned that was another thing you should have probably been on but weren't.
I think I could have on that.
Or could have been, okay.
The first one was I felt like I should have been. The second one was I could have been. So the way it just at the time being a troop commander at Dev Group, the way they had it organized was 2 of the troops were doing strike force rotations. The other one was doing smaller little outstations. So you would split up your troop and send them to all these outstations where they would work with surrogate forces. And so it just so happened that ended up being my troop. And so for that deployment, I was really more of a figurehead type status where you're in a central location, just coordinating and working that way. So I wasn't getting in the field as much. It's always a bummer. No one liked that one because you wanted to be just running with the dudes. And so it looked like I was hoping to get a second rotation back as a strike force commander, but it was looking like that wasn't going to happen. I was starting to get too senior in rank, and I was going to, in a sense, rank out of that job. And they were already looking to like slate me and move me on into more staff leadership roles. And so I was frustrated because I wanted to operate. And at some point, the leadership recognized that too. And they said, hey, why don't you come down and take Jonas's troop from him for a few weeks and at least get some rotations in. So you're getting those, checking the boxes, you're getting the reps because you're not going to get that experience otherwise, most likely. And, it's interesting because I look back and I see God's grace in it, but I, at the time, wasn't really thinking about it that way. I was more angry with everything. And I've talked a lot about how I struggled with some rage through those years. And I was mad because I said, hey, either the job I'm in is important or it's not. And if it's important enough for me to be in it, then let me see it through the end. But if you're telling me that it's not that important and I could have done this in the first place, then that's messed up. So no, I'm not going to go take Jonas's troop. By the way, I haven't trained with them. I've worked with my troop. So we have different way of doing business. Neither one's better than or worse than the other, but
sure, it's just different. Yeah.
But there's this idea that you don't jump into someone else's team and start ground force commanding their ops when you don't understand that individual troop culture. And so I was mad at the suggestion alone, and I think I might have let a few swear words slip. As I said, not so politely, no thank you. So it's strange looking back at it from the lens of God's providence, because had I accepted that offer, that absolutely would have been around the same time frame that we lost 2 troop on the helo. So I very well could have been ground force commanding that one. Yeah.
And Jonas, tell everyone who's Jonas.
Jonas Kelsaw, he was the 2 troop commander. So my peer running 2 troop and I ran 3 troop.
Okay.
Great dude. Great dude. I've talked quite a bit about him. We care for him very deeply, and his family, of course, so much so that our youngest is named Jonas.
Yeah. Which is funny. We both have a Jonas the Bonus.
Awesome.
Yes, so, Jonas the Bonus.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that was how many SEALs did we lose on that one?
We lost 31 Americans and I think 6 Afghan commandos. So the whole troop plus the air crew it was a National Guard unit, and then mixed in that troop were the SEALs, the PJ, CCT, our support technicians, our dog handler, MA, Jet Li, we called him John Dung Dara, and a couple others as well, our CTR, Mike Strange. So it was a diverse group of dudes. Yeah.
And that, I think, is the biggest loss we've had. And
that is 100% now. So, I mean, strange, right? That before Panama or after Panama, Red Wings was the largest loss of soft life, and then extortion was the new largest loss of soft life.
Yeah. And so then, and that was Afghanistan?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you were there, though. You weren't home.
Yeah. Correct. I was there.
Yeah.
And then, but that was a big, again, there's no playbook for these things.
Yeah.
And no one knew what to even do, how to respond. What does right look like? Part of the SEAL ethos is never out of the fight.
Yeah.
But what happened after extortion was probably the best looking back moment of, okay, are you really never out of the fight? Just really what you guys believe in? Are you really willing to take it to that level?
Yeah.
And stay in the fight? And I'm very happy with the leadership decisions at the time that allowed us to see it to the end. And I'm very grateful for you and for all the support we had back from the States, where, I don't know how you had that insight, but I'll never forget getting on like a Skype call at the time and talking to you. And I'm wrestling with these emotions of like, I know you're hurting. I can't imagine the level of fear and grief that you are going through with the kids, but I need to see this to the end. We have to fulfill our duty. And I'm trying to figure out how to articulate that. I was having a hard time, and she just stops me. And she's like, stay. You have to see this to the end. Finish the job, finish the mission, then you come home to me. And I started just crying because I'm like, okay, thank you. Thank you for taking that weight off my shoulders because I know that's what we need to do. And knowing that you're in my corner to do that was a huge weight off my shoulders.
So were you there for the ramp ceremony for that one?
Yeah.
But you weren't for Danny, obviously. You were.
Right. Yeah. Danny I was home for. This one was at the ramp ceremony.
So I didn't realize that then. So how much time had gone on before you came home then? After that?
Oh, that was only like a month into deployment. So we still had 3.5 more months in theater. Yeah.
So now you're dealing with even more loss, tragedy, more Gold Star families by yourself.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Leaned on the church community again, which freed me up to serve. Our babysitter moved in free of charge.
Wow.
Literally was a nanny to my children and said, because this was so unexpected, because I had so many funerals to go to.
Yeah.
She just lived downstairs. I was coming in late, driving somewhere in DC. We were just driving. So she just stayed, which then helped me love on the families. I rested on Psalm 139.
Yeah.
Even hearing his voice when he was allowed to call, I still struggled with waiting for someone to come to my door. Like there was a disconnect on knowing that I heard his voice, but knowing how many of my friends were getting that knock. And then, and then he was taking control of that area, or I don't know how you say it, but I knew that it was a hotbed. I knew the mission wasn't over and it could be me. But again, your days are ordained for you.
Yeah.
And having to keep remind myself that I would write journal notes. And what was cool is he was journaling, I was journaling. When we could talk, we would compare notes. And it's so amazing that the Holy Spirit doesn't know time and distance, but can speak to me and speak to him at the same time. Because some of our journal notes were impressive and in sync. And that's only the Holy Spirit.
Sure, yeah.
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 And telling the kids similarly, like that God's got them. And
I told the story on Sean Ryan, but I think it's worth saying it again because this one just blew me away. Where as Amy's going to funeral after funeral after funeral, and our babysitter becomes a live-in nanny. At one point, Braden and Emerson, our kids, start asking Amy, like,
did you have 3 kids in or 2?
We had 2 at the time.
Okay.
Now we have 4. So they start, hey mom, this isn't normal. Like, what's going on? Like, you're gone a lot more. You're crying a lot more. They can, kids are kids are perceptive to the emotional energy of the house. They know this is different than normal stuff. And so at some point, Amy is like, how do I frame this for a child's mind? And I love the way you did it. And I was always just so blown away with the wisdom you had. But as they start asking questions, she says, well, Daddy goes on helicopters for part of his job. And some of his friends were in a helicopter and it crashed. And the kid's first question was Mr. Jonas on board? Because he had already taken my place on one deployment so I could come home for our daughter's surgery. So everyone knew Jonas's name. Everyone loved Jonas. And so she'd say, yes, honey, he was on the helicopter. And then she said, our daughter said, asked if, are they going to be okay? And Amy framed it so perfectly. She said, no, sweetheart, their boo-boos were so bad they had to go to heaven to get fixed. And I remember just thinking, like, golly, like, where'd you pull that from? Because I don't know. I would have been just like, let me just give you the brutal truth.
Yeah, right.
Probably like ruin their childhood.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
Scarred them
but
for
the
life.
way you framed that and delivered the truth with grace, the truth with grace is, I think, an important part of that. They could conceptualize, okay,
they're together.
Yeah, and this
God's
idea, again, God's sovereignty. But that was a hard one. They were all hard, of course, but again, looking back at God's sovereign plan here and the building blocks he had foundationally laid for us. But even in that moment, I wasn't running toward him. I was in the Word a lot, and I was like looking through the Psalms, and I was really gravitating toward David's like hard Psalms where he's just like angry and despairing. and I was angry, so I was in a sense, I was almost a split.
You just had so much white noise going on with the emotions.
Yeah.
That it was hard to be still and listen and hear.
Yeah.
And so he also explained it that, you know, sometimes when you get mad and it feels good to stay mad, you know it's wrong and you should probably let it go.
Yeah.
He lived in that for a while and didn't want to let go of it because it was his. And he didn't want to share the stories because they were his. And he wanted control in a time where everything was out of control.
Yeah.
And so what we tend to do is then hold on tighter when really you have to let go. You have to lay it down. Yeah. And that was a long time. That was a process.
Yeah. It like when people hear these kinds of stories, but I always want to make sure I'm clear that this wasn't like we didn't handle this perfectly each time. Like there's no like, well, I went in and I read my Bible and it was all okay. Yeah. You know, like, no, dude.
No, this is a real relationship with the Lord.
Like,
Yeah,
we yelled. And like the spirit in me was drawing me to the word, but the flesh in me was drawing me toward anger. And those two things are irreconcilable at some point. And it's what David, it's what I think most men, struggle primarily with like ego, rage, and lust. It's just what I've experienced in life. And so the rage was just taking root, and I was just being torn in two as I think my spirit was wrestling with my flesh. And we just made our way through that over time, but really, really hard, difficult, dark times. I go back and read my journal entries now, and it's like, golly, man, like that was some dark stuff.
Was the rage directed? Maybe it's both towards the bad guys and God.
Yeah, it was whoever got in your way.
Talk about emotions that become tangible, but inappropriately so. Yeah. Like we didn't know how to work through those or sort through those. Yeah. And so there was, I mean, just like a child who starts to take it out, like that's what was happening.
Right.
Yeah.
And then within like, back to some of the original stuff we were talking about, how do you walk the razor's edge of being a Christian and a SEAL in an environment now where that rage is taking root? And I've talked a lot about this one in a lot of different forms over the years, but this idea of bridling the monster, you know, because there was a lot of us, myself included, that really wanted to just let loose with that rage, but then knowing, hey, that's not only is that not ethical, it's certainly unbiblical. And then, by the way, it's contrary to the American values that we swore an oath to through the Constitution. And so what are we doing if we give into that? You know, we're becoming as bad as the enemy. Mm-hmm. And then if that's the case, we're just contributing to chaos. So why are we even here? It defeats the entire purpose behind what we're supposed to stand for and be and do. And so that was an interesting one to wrestle with as a leader, because the right answer isn't, well, let's have a meeting, throw up some PowerPoint and talk about ethics. No, that doesn't resonate. And in fact, you'd probably drive dudes further into the rage.
Yeah.
So we were really having to figure out how to navigate our own emotions while leading through those with the group as well, to act responsibly on the battlefield, to where what we were doing was still noble and virtuous.
Yeah. 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 Cause you, like you said, you got a bunch of dudes looking to you. You're the example, you're the lead, and they're going to follow.
Me and the troop chief. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have 3 at home doing the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of weight to bear.
It was a heavy one.
Yeah. Oof. So how many funerals have you gone to?
Oh my gosh, I've actually lost count.
Yeah.
In my life, oh gosh, probably between right at 40-ish.
I was gonna say like 50.
Do you think
just 50? For team guys?
Team guys and family.
Probably closer to 30 for team or military families. Yeah, it's
a lot.
It's a lot.
And a lot of those were without Brad.
Most of them.
Most of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can't imagine. I mean, I can't imagine like having to leave my wife to do that by herself. I mean, that had to be a weight.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? I also knew I was representing him.
Yeah, sure.
And he couldn't be there, and he loved those guys.
Yeah.
And so I had to roll my sleeves up, tuck my emotions away for the moment, and love on the families the way he would have.
Yeah.
it's very hard to put your brothers on a C-17 and not go with them.
Sure.
But I don't know what's harder. I don't know what's worse, because it's tough to not be there for them when you send them home. But at least you have your work to distract you.
Sure.
Right.
On the flip side, because we do send escorts. We'll always send a couple of the guys. And so on the flip side, those guys get to escort their bodies home, which is goodness. But then they don't have the work to distract them.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to one of the guys who was back home, and he
struggled.
He struggled, and he's going
still
through.
Struggles.
Well, yeah, so many of us still do, really. But he's going through these funerals and funeral. And at one point, I'm calling him, and I said, "Hey, how you hanging in there?" We're getting close to him being able to fly back and join us as we were getting ready to go to start doing more missions. And in a moment of just brutal clarity, he's like, "Bro, I'm really hurting." And he said, I just need to get to you guys and grieve with you and get to work. He said, "I know I'm where I'm supposed to be, and I know where I'm most needed." Exactly like I was when I was home for Danny, for Danny's family. So I could relate. He's like, "But I need to get with you guys and just be."
And I think that's why I was able to say that when you did call and tell me about extortion, is I saw where you wanted to be, and didn't want you to have regret and mental anguish. You needed to see it through. That's like, stopping halfway before a race is finished.
Yeah.
You needed to see it through, or you would resent me and bring home resentment and have more mental struggles, emotional struggles.
Yeah, the idea of quitting, I mean, in the SEAL team, it's like, that's the ultimate sin.
You got to see it through.
That's the ultimate sin. Nobody quits. You don't unring the bell.
Was it all 31 dudes on one C-17?
Yep. 2 C-17s.
Yes.
Yeah, you talk about just, the whole thing's a blur.
Oof.
The whole thing's a blur.
Mm-hmm.
Were you there to receive Danny when he came back?
No. And I don't remember why. Yeah.
I was just curious.
Maybe I wasn't. I'm blanking. I don't know.
I was going to say, you went to Dover
I would have gone
times.
to Dover, I would think, but I don't know. It's interesting. Maybe I was. I remember seeing his casket. And I remember that they told Patsy they didn't recommend that she open the casket, even though he was wrapped up. So I don't think she saw his face, but he had been shot so many times. They said his head had caved in or something. And they said, "Hey, don't look." She did anyway. But I don't think anyone else saw. So I remember that conversation with her. So maybe I was there. I don't know, man. Weird. Maybe I've just blacked it out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can't imagine being in shock and just.
Yeah.
Yeah. For extortion, that was a lot more public and on the news right away, wasn't it? So there wasn't as much waiting time. And
No, it was fast.
Yeah.
The news got the word fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people knew pretty much right away.
Yeah.
It broke that morning, I think 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whatever the earliest news. I don't watch news anymore. But Brad just said something happened. Get to my mom, through the phone before it hits the news or as it's hitting the news.
Yeah.
So the moment, I knew she watched Fox in the morning, so I turned that on. And the moment they said Navy SEALs, I hit send. I called, and Gigi was on the other end of the phone, just.
She dealt with a lot on that deployment. Yeah. Because within the same few months, my brother, who's a helo pilot, he was actually stationed in Japan, and the tsunami had happened.
Oh,
all the radiation.
Dennis
leaks.
was there when that.
Really?
Yeah.
Again, weird.
We'll talk about that later.
That's
Small worlds converge.
He was.
That's right. He was playing baseball. That's right. So my brother was he flew his wife and dog home, but this is before they had kids, and he's flying his helo through radiation, just trying to provide aid, comfort, save people. And so my mom's dealing with that, and then next thing I know, we're having extortion. I'm in Afghanistan, and I think she was she and my dad probably the amount of sleep they lost in about
they aged a lot.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
It is, the beautiful thing, and I think this is why I called her first.
I'm not laughing at you, Mom. It's just ridiculous to think about.
When we got married, she said, "I've always been the number one woman in Brad's life, but I'm handing that baton to you." And she so graciously put me in that first position, and always has. She said, "Just be the first person I call." And I was like, absolutely.
Gotcha.
So it was that right when I hit send, I'm like, this is what that relationship did. This is what her honoring me in the position I had is, returning in this very moment. She was on speed dial. Like,
so what was the time frame between you calling Amy to tell her and it breaking?
It's pretty fast. I mean, hours?
Yeah.
Less than 12 hours?
Yeah.
I think
Wow.
The news got, it was 2011. Like news was pretty fast back then.
And you couldn't tell her, you just said something bad happened.
And
all I said was,
and I'm alive.
I said, hey, I need you to hear my voice.
Okay.
Yep.
And she replied, how bad is it? And I
Mm.
said, it's worse than when we lost Danny.
And that's all he could say to me. And I knew that. And as a wife for so long, you know what you can push on and what you can't.
Mm-hmm.
And that was absolutely, I knew phone lines were being listened to. I knew they were tracking everything. So it was like, done. I know it's bad. All I know is it's bad. But again, I kept looking out my window. Are they coming to my door? Are they coming to my, but I had heard his voice. Just crazy.
So even though you had just talked to me, you
Yes.
still.
It's the mental games,
Yeah.
knowing if it was worse than Red Wings, I know how many, and I didn't know which friends, I didn't know who was getting
Yeah.
so I'm like, are they
That's
coming to my door? Are they
heartbreaking because
coming to
you
my
can't
door?
call them.
No, and I didn't know if it was over. 'Cause I didn't know what happened.
You had no
Are
idea.
they bombing the base? Am I not going to hear Brad's voice again? Like, I don't know. So, and I kept that to myself. I paced. I can tell you my house to this day has a line in that wood floor of me just pacing and watching the news.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to hear and I needed to call his mom.
So do you remember when you saw how bad it was?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I'm an introvert by nature. And so that pulled me in even further.
Mm.
It was, I didn't want to see anyone. I had a hard time functioning, I think, because I hurt so much for my friends. And I remember a neighbor coming over and just like, you need to pull yourself together. Like, what if they come to your door? This would be embarrassing. And I just was like,
Your makeup's not on.
your makeup's not on. You're not pulled
Wow.
together. And I just remember trying to be as lovely as possible and showing her out while I still processed and grieved and also dealt with my kids' emotions. And then again, like I have, it's the Tommy Valentine rule. You can explain that in a second. But I needed 5 minutes. I needed 5 minutes to sit in the morning in the grief. 5 minutes was 5 days. And then I roll my sleeves up and it's time to handle this, to deal with it, to face it. But I think it's important to weep with those who weep.
Yeah.
Then you can move forward.
Yeah.
And sometimes people have a hard time with needing that 5 minutes. And tell them about Tommy Valentine rule.
Yeah, he died in a parachute accident. One of our teammates.
This was just a few years ago, right?
No. This was a hot minute ago.
That's happened multiple.
I feel bad. I can't
I was
remember the
thinking
year,
of somebody.
but it was definitely not recent.
Okay.
It's been a hot minute, but he had this rule, and it became known as the Tommy Valentine rule. And he said, no matter, I'm paraphrasing, but no matter your greatest success or your worst defeat, you give yourself 5 minutes, and that's it.
To celebrate or to mourn?
Or to kick yourself in the butt. But you don't let yourself get intoxicated by your successes, and you don't let yourself get defeated by your guilt of messing something up. You get the 5 minutes, pat yourself on the back, kick yourself in the butt, and then move on. As you so aptly
and
described.
I remember saying, I need a Tommy Valentine 5 minutes.
Yeah. And usually it's more than 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 days.
Yeah. That's
same.
It's a loose timeline.
Yeah.
But the idea is you have to process it.
Right.
So sit in
It's
it.
healthy to sit in it.
Don't push it off.
And then figure out how to place that and move forward.
Yeah.
If you compartmentalize it, that's that rubber band that'll eventually snap and even break marriages,
Yeah. I mean, we've stumbled upon the phrase over the years and we've used it countless times, but you never move on, from loss, but you have to move forward. And there's an interesting nuance there because it sounds so callous to say, well, let's just move on. Well, you can't. Like they're a part of your lives. Those scars will always remain.
It's indelible. Yeah.
But you have to move forward.
Yeah.
And we've seen people that do not move forward.
Nope.
And they process grief in unhealthy ways. And you can see it destroy people. And it's always so tragic because, like I said, we've seen it so many times. You learn to ID it. that person is not processing their grief in a healthy way, they're going to spiral.
And there's strength in sitting in it for a minute.
There is.
Yep.
And then getting up and moving
then getting
forward.
up.
Yeah.
So when you saw the news for extortion, did you know then who it was who had died?
They hadn't released names.
They
did say it was an entire troop. And so at that point, and there were 3 troops, right, at the time?
Yeah.
So I knew it was a third of the command. I don't think I knew which troop it was.
Yeah.
So I was still going through.
It took a few days for the names to get released.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then, I mean, geez, at what point, like, how do you decide? Like with Danny, it was easy. You went to Patsy's, she's your best friend.
Yes.
Like in extortion, like, how do you decide who you're going to first or who you're going to help?
So the command has a good protocol, and they had us recalled pretty quickly after the news broke.
Yeah.
And so, what do you call him? Trident 01? Somebody. Bravo 01.
Yeah, it's Pete Van
that's right. Called us all in, and as spouses, explained what happened, and they did a great job. I mean, the more information they give us, we trust them. If they withhold, then gossip starts happening. So they try to get ahead of it.
Yeah,
they had a PowerPoint slide. They showed us how the helo came in. They showed us where they think things, the enemy attacked. And so we got a lot of information, but at that point is when we heard, we could actually look around the room and see which spouses were missing. And that's when we figured out, because they did not have them in the informational brief. They were at home with their casualty assistant officers. But yeah, they're pretty good at their protocols and their ombudsman and notifying and then rallying support around the families pretty quickly.
And back to Patsy and some of the early Gold Star spouses, you grabbed her and brought her to that meeting.
I did.
What an anchor. What an anchor for you and for the command to have her there for that.
Yeah.
I've gone back and I've reread, emails she sent me when I was still downrange, and she described it. She said, Brad, I was with DJ, her new husband, Shipley, and she's like, I see his phone go off. I see him and the dudes look at each other and look back at me, and they're ghost white. And she's like, I knew it was bad, and all I kept thinking was,
Brad.
God, not Brad. And don't make me have to go do for Amy what she did for me. And then she's like, and then the relief when you weren't on the list, and then the guilt that I was relieved, and then it's all these emotions. But then she was able to help shepherd so many people through that. Wow. It was just what a gift that she could have taken what was tragic in her life and then use it for good to help others.
A lot of the Gold Star.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so let's move to Adam then.
Yeah. So Adam predated extortion.
Oh, so I had the wrong time.
Yeah,
okay.
it's all right.
So Adam was before that.
Adam was before that. Yeah. Man,
this is where I wanted to talk about specifically. You can specifically look and say, this is where God meant this for good.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one floored me, because I barely knew him. We knew each other. I'd gotten into the squadron a few months before that deployment. So we had met, he was in a different troop, but we knew each other. I started to realize what kind of a guy he was. Just solid, dependable, reliable. And the word was on the street that this was his last deployment. He's going to go buy a house in Arkansas. Dude was a Razorback through and through.
Yeah.
Take his wife and kids there and just live the good life, like mission complete, hand the baton off, time for the next season of life. And then we're watching, I was in the Tactical Operations Center down in Shank. And we're just, one of those nights we weren't out. So you just end up watching what the other guys are doing, listening in on the radios, and you start to realize things went south pretty quickly. And now everyone starts to get a little nervous, and you're waiting to hear the reports. And then, come to find out it was Adam who had died. And you start seeing people break in the room, SEALs, techs, support, whoever, just break down and cry. And you start to realize, dude, this guy had a massive impact on people. Everybody loved this guy. Dynamic, charismatic. You talk about, you've seen the pictures, you've read the book. So I started to really wrestle with God on that one now. Like, why would you take Adam? Why would you do this? Why would you let this happen when you're so close to the finish line?
And you were in Afghanistan at the time?
Uh-huh. in Afghanistan.
It's another funeral I went to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Myself.
Yeah.
And I've told the story, but it's so good because the chaplains will go around, while you're forward, and they'll do a little memorial service, and they'll take their time, get to every out station, make sure they give everyone the opportunity. And they finally made their rounds, came through Shank. And so you have the little briefing room, these plywood huts. We're all sitting on little benches, like picnic benches in this plywood room. And the chaplain gets up and says, okay, I'm gonna read what Adam wrote. The last thing we do when we go out the door is you sign an emergency data form. And it's like kind of the addendum to your will. Like, last minute, here's what I want. And some guys do really, really funny things. Like I want, Bon Jovi to play at my funeral if I die. It's just over the top, hilarious. You really start to see gallows humor come out in what some guys write in these forms. But either way, he closes the door and he said, hey, what Adam wrote is, in the event I die, I want the chaplain to go around and do a memorial service in honor of me, and I want the gospel of Jesus Christ preached. Yeah. And so this chaplain, and I think before this, I don't know if I'd ever heard a chaplain. There's some really, really good chaplains out there.
Oh, this was a God ordained.
There's also quite a few out there
chaplain.
Who are very, they're very benign in their faith because they try to stay, they're supposed to be this spiritual mentor, not specific to one faith a lot of times.
Especially now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate how tough it is for them to walk, but up until this moment, most that I had encountered had been very benign and almost like, I'm not going to waste my time talking to you, dude.
Yeah. No,
this one,
Bradshaw.
Yeah. Well, this guy, he sent it. He sent it, and we're like, dang. And I remember sitting in there like, oh, holy smokes, Lord. And I'm looking left and right, and I'm just seeing these warfighters, listening. And I'm thinking in my mind, this is a rough culture. I can't imagine another scenario in which you'd get these many dudes to sit in a room and listen to Jesus. But they're not. No one's going to get up and walk out of Adam's memorial. So here we are, and many of them received it in that meeting, and we know that. And I didn't at the time, other than the impact that made on me. It was a very big moment for me in my faith, where I realized, oh, that's the kind of impact you can have for Jesus. And it wasn't until that next deployment that we lost 2 troop, and Amy starts going to these funerals, and she told me at one point, she's like, Brad, I can't count how many of the spouses have told me my husband came to know Jesus after Adam died because of his testimony. Wow. And we realized, like, oh my goodness, he used Adam's death to pave the path to their salvation. And he didn't need to do that. Obviously, God's sovereign, back to the anchor that's been the thread through our lives. But what a gift to see a piece of how he works. And I still don't understand it.
Still working through Adam's testimony and book.
Oh, sure.
And
yeah.
What year was that?
2010, I think.
Yes.
Yep, 2010. Spring of 2010, we lost.
You said that was 2 deployments before extortion?
One
deployment before.
Yeah. It was very interesting.
Back to back. And actually there was another one after. So it was 3 back to back.
Oh my goodness.
3 back-to-back deployments. Gold Squadron lost dudes from 2 troop. Because it was Adam was the first one. The very next deployment was Extortion 1-7. And then the very next deployment was Nick Check. And that was the op where Ed Byers got the Medal of Honor on the hostage rescue. So 3 back-to-back deployments for Gold Squadron 2 troop, which is, it got weird. Like, dudes started, there were a lot of guys started being like,
what's going on?
Maybe I don't want to hang out in 2 troop, it was a hard season.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard Eddie Penny talk about, just because he wasn't a Christian at the time. He's now a Christian, praise God. But
great testimony,
yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
But I remember hearing him say, like, he said, why Adam?
Yeah.
Right.
And it sounds like that's what everyone
was saying that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at, like, who's the best dude amongst us, like, as a human being, usually everyone would point to Adam. And so then you're like, well, why would God take that dude then? And back to Psalm 139.
Yeah.
I mean, his days were written. He fulfilled his ministry. And like Sean asked, that rocked me when he asked me this in our interview. He said, did you ever think that was his reward? Was he got to go to heaven? And when Sean asked me that in that meeting, it about put me on the floor. I'm like, oh my gosh, I never thought about it that way. Because we look at it through our lens of grief, being left behind, all missing him, all grieving him. And I'm sure his wife and kids and mom and dad and family feel the same way. But for us to live as Christ and die as gain. Of course, that was his reward.
Yeah.
He had honorably fulfilled his ministry that God had him here to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I hear they're doing a movie on him?
I don't know. I haven't heard that.
I heard.
I hope they do.
I think I heard that.
Yeah.
I hope they do. Like, and I don't very often hope for SEAL movies.
Yeah, but it's a testimony movie.
It's his story.
It's
a movie about a SEAL, not a SEAL movie.
I hope they do it right if they do it. I've become friends with the author, Eric Blem, the author.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Really good dude.
Yeah.
And he talks about how he just wanted to get this right.
Yeah.
And he did. He nailed it.
He nailed it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Okay. So last thing we'll talk about then is just what you've just gone through the last, what is it, 25? So
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
So, and then, talk about that again, just this whole theme of being a Christian, God's sovereignty. And then that'll bring us into the identity conversation. Because I mean, I think that's a perfect cherry on the top with the painting and all that. So, yeah.
There's, dude, I'm so glad for this forum too, because, without belaboring the stories that have already been told, there's so much to be told yet that God did through these 3 years in our lives and how he manifested that this was his plan.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That, like, I've only been able to tell snippets of that. And so we're excited to share that part of our spiritual walk through this as well. And it's everything from, like, I love to tell this part at the beginning of it. The path had been paved. What looked like the path for me to continue on and keep leading in our community. I mean, it was ridiculous, the awards I was getting.
Because you were looking at Admiral.
Yeah, I mean, I'd gotten I'd received the Stockdale Award for STV Team 1, my time out there, which is it's the premier leadership award in the Navy. Everyone says, hey, dude, you have the Stockdale, you're on the way to Admiral. Like, it's going to happen. Done deal. I'd been given a bonus command, come back to Buds, by a good friend and mentor of mine, called me up one day, job's yours if you want it. What? Like, it's a dream phone call. Yeah, we're moving to Coronado, let's go. I'd received another award. It was just like, it was getting to the point where it was almost like embarrassing. Like, golly, man, like this is ridiculous.
Because you're a quiet professional. You don't like the limelight.
Right. So I'd stayed out of it as much as possible. Yeah. And all of a sudden I'm like in the news on these different awards. And I remember joking with God at one point, like, when are you going to pull the rug out from under me? Like, dude, bad idea.
Jinx yourself, bro.
Well, and what I know now as I look back, with now the lens that we are looking through today, which is so much better. I think he was giving me all these gifts to then ask me, do you value the gifts more than the giver? And are you willing to give all these back to me? Because I know your heart, Brad, back to Psalm 139. I know your thoughts, and I know that you've allowed these to become idols, and you've allowed the seal trident to become an idol. Are you walking your path, or do you want to walk with me? And it was this crisis of faith in a way where I'd been a believer for so long, but it's these moments where I think God tests you in some ways to, like, hey, where are you really on this? And are you really going to pick me, or are you going to cling to these idols? But how he started showing himself. Great example. This one was one of my favorites. Early on, I was diving into the word as it started happening, as our lives started unraveling, everything we knew. And I'm reading through the Old Testament. I come across the story of Jehoshaphat. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's a really obscure story. It's like most of them in the Old Testament. It's the king of Judah that already split from Israel, but some other armies gather together, band, and they unify to come destroy Judah. And they're on the way. And the Judah gets word that, hey, this is happening. And they're so outnumbered that everyone's in despair. So the king of Judah, Jehoshaphat, brings the Judeans together, and he submits and prays to God Almighty in front of everybody, man, woman, and children. And it's like, hey, we're out of our element. You've got this, God. Let you be glorified. And while he's praying, one of the prophets stands up and says, hey, the Lord's heard your prayer. He's going to bring you victory. March out tomorrow for battle. Done deal. So he's like, cool. Sounds like most other stories in the Old Testament. Here's where it's different. And this blew me away. And by the way, as I'm reading this, the same week, like 3 other people, some of them who don't even know us personally, but friends of family or friends of friends.
Some from Hawaii, Japan, Virginia Beach, who some of them like don't know us personally. The Lord wants you to be in this scripture.
All of them said, hey, you need to read this story in 2 Chronicles. You need to read this story in 2 Chronicles. You need, like, okay.
It was confirmation after confirmation.
Like, wow.
God's word.
No coincidence.
Yeah.
So here's the big part. As I'm reading, so the next day, now with promised victory at hand, Jehoshaphat still forms up the army, has them dressed for battle. It's like, that's interesting. The Lord promised victory, but he still requires you to act.
Yes.
He still requires you to dress for battle and to step out. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Instead of just marching out, he then takes his lead worshipers, physically the most vulnerable people in the kingdom, and he puts them as the point element in front of the army. Then they open the gates and they begin praising God for his promised victory, and they march out. Then it says in scripture that at that very moment, as they started praising him,
took the action.
he acted, sent a spirit of confusion into the other armies. They all turned on each other, fought each other, and killed everybody. So by the time Jehoshaphat arrived, everybody's dead, and they just reaped the spoils of war. And I realized as I read this and pondered on it and meditated on it that, man, I spent my entire adult life training for warfare and becoming very proficient at it. But it is relied upon our weapons, our training, our teamwork, our tactics. And now I'm in a battle that's very different, but it's the same still. It's spiritual warfare. So how do I fight that? And I was out of my element, but I loved this symbol of worship being a weapon. And I realized, man, Amy's a lead worshiper. She sang in most of our churches as we lived our adult lives together. And like we said, back to third grade, she's been doing this for a long time. And I said, Amy, just like Jehoshaphat, you're physically more vulnerable than me. You're not a physical war fighter, but I'm learning that we need to prioritize worship here as our primary weapon. So can you work with the kids and put together playlists? And we need to be worshiping, even when it doesn't make sense, even while there's a promised victory out there somewhere, we don't know what that looks like yet, but we're going to have to step forward and trust and faith that it's coming. And she's like, yeah, I'm on it. So they started building playlists, and then we got rid of our old sound system, which was janky, and got Sonos and put it all through the house on Wi-Fi. And then we set it on alarms so that by the time we'd even wake up in the morning, worship was already playing, flooding the house. And our goal was, hey, if we're in a spiritual war here and we're fighting principalities and darkness and evil.
Spiritual warfare doesn't sleep.
No.
Right.
And so let's do everything we can to fight and fill this house with nothing but praise, worship, and love, even in our hardest moments of despair when it probably matters the most.
Right.
And it was amazing because
there was a heart shift.
Oh, massive.
You could feel it.
Massive. And we'd wake up with worship songs on already singing it in our head as we're waking up. Like, man, that's never happened. Like, where'd that come from? And slowly, we started shifting our prayers too. And we started saying, hey, Lord, align our desires with your will. And then that started happening as we were worshiping more and not really understanding what's going on around us. And then we had a massive pivot when we felt convicted to pray, hey, Lord, whatever path you want us on, let it be the one that glorifies your name the most. Put us on that path.
Talk about difficult prayers.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
That's one.
I just call my wife dude.
Is it?
Yeah. And
I'm sure that's normal anyways.
It happens. Yeah. It happens.
Probably call her bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've told the story that my boss at the time, he was getting his master's in divinity at Liberty University online. And I went in and told him about that. I said, hey man, we felt convicted this weekend. And we shifted our prayer to this. No longer save us from this, vindicate us now. It's hey, I would like reprieve, but I trust you more than my own desires. Help us endure, give us steadfastness, and then we'll see where that takes us, but let it glorify your name. Yeah. And he's like, bro, you know how dangerous of a prayer that is, right? I said, yeah. But I have no choice. Yeah. There's no choice anymore. Yeah. Like once we realized very clearly God was asking us to take these steps on this different path, there was no choice. It was just a matter of taking each step in faith. Someone recently, I'll let you talk. I'm on project here, but said, looking back, it's masterful how you guys played this game and you maneuvered and you did this chess and you were always one step ahead of the Navy and blah blah blah. And I was like, no, dude, yeah. Like
that's not at all what happened.
That is not at all what happened.
Plan our ways, but he directs our steps, and we were prayerfully considered every step, and sometimes it would take days, and I would want one thing and he would want and finally we ended up on the same page, and there were times we sheathed that sword, like we were going after it, and it was like, no, put it away. Yeah. And we listened, and so I feel like it was pretty evident this was directed by.
It was so crystal clear that God ordained this whole thing. Even the interaction with Sean Ryan. I mean, I'd gotten hooked on him because of DJ's story.
Same.
Yeah. I mean, it's an incredible. He has like 5.5 million views, I think, at this point. Like, and it just resonated with so many people. His vulnerability was just next level.
Yeah.
But I'm out doing woodworking in the backyard, and I'm listening to it on all his stories, and I come across one where Sean gives his testimony.
Yeah.
Where he'd become a Christian. I'm just like, whoa!
Right.
So I went running into Amy at the time, and I said, hey, Amy, if our story is ever told, if it ever gets to that level, it's going to need to be a long-form podcast because it's too convoluted, as you know. I said, and Sean just became a Christian. Wouldn't that be neat if somehow God aligned us and he could be the guy that helps us tell our story? She's like, yeah, we should pray about that. So we did. Anyway, fast forward. I'm doing this transition course that helps you figure out how to leave the military and go become a civilian. Because I saw the writing on the wall. Even as we were still in the fight, still kind of hoping that God would put us back on the path. It was like, I know where we're headed. Part of that was the Honor Foundation. It helps you tell stories. They're very good at helping you condense them, give you a bottom line up front, kind of here's the takeaways. And all that culminates in a story night where you have to get up in front of your peers and tell a story like 5 minutes long. And I had an executive coach help me draft it. Very good dude. But it's like, hey, this is the business world now. You know, sterile, no religion, no emotion. Like, keep it clean. So it sounds good. So we built it all the night before. I'm wrestling with the Lord, and my soul was just not at ease. And I just had the dream that I talked about with Sean, where I'm climbing up and I'm pounding my burden to the cross. I just had that. And like, Lord, why am I uneasy tonight? Like, why is my soul stirring? And and I felt him say, because I want you to talk about that dream in your story tomorrow in front of the class. And you talk about crossing religion and the SEAL teams. I had never done something so overt. You know, I'd sprinkled scripture in graduation speeches. I had talked about my faith. I'd been bold, but never like that. And that's
so this class,
story.
So this class is all team guys that are getting ready to transition.
It's all SOCOM. So there's team guys. There's some SWIT guys. There's some support technicians and combat service support folks, and like, so it's all SOCOM peers. It's 40 to 50 in a class. Okay. And I'm wrestling with God on it the night before. I was like, Lord, I don't know how to do that. Like, that's a really in your face Jesus story. Yeah. And I felt him say in my heart, hey, you asked me to put you on the path that glorifies my name. And if you are unwilling to glorify my name in front of 40 or 50 of your peers, why would I give you a bigger platform? I said, you're right. So I sent it and I told the story. And it was the first time I had publicly told that story. And it was like, dude, I was sweating. I was nervous. You could have heard a pin drop. I walked back to my seat. No one said a word to me. It was the most uncomfortable thing ever. But I sat there in total peace after. I'm like, Lord, I did what you asked me to do. Come what may. Yeah. And it was like 2 weeks later, Sean calls me on a Saturday. He's like, hey, DJ said I need to call you. Give me the story. Wow. It's like, oh, Lord. Okay, I was faithful with the small town. I was faithful with the small challenge you gave me. And now you're giving me a bigger platform. Okay, well, we have to tell that story. Yeah. We have to glorify
Once
God.
You retire.
Well, that was our thought too, was I'm not going to go on Sean Ryan until I retire because there was so much risk. Sure. But then again, we prayed about that and felt convicted that no, you need to go do this now.
Well, yeah. And at that point, I remember you were pretty much, you had no choice but to go public with stuff.
We had tried everything prior to that. We had appealed to leadership. We had talked about ethics. I had shown evidence. Like, guys, I'd shown them my cards. Yeah. Hey, insiders have fed me.
They were going after instructors, and that's like not happening. I have to.
The deliberately manipulative investigation listed like 10 or something people that they recommended punishment against.
Unjustly. They've done nothing.
And I'm looking at the names of my instructors, and I was like, oh, no, you don't get to do that over lies. And so I just kept showing everybody, like, guys, here's the evidence. You violated ethics. You lied. You built this entire thing on lies. Do not do this. Please help me reconcile. Like, please, let's, everything they tell you at the Naval Academy to do, go to the leader, then go to the next leader, go to the next leader. And I just was met with nothing but apathetic indifference and justification and counter accusations. And finally it was like, okay.
Someone bitter and frustrated and speak out of anger. We did everything we could to try to buffer that with our faith and with what the Lord was doing in us, so that it didn't come across as, condemnation.
Well, we knew, what's the verse from James? I think 1, is it 1:9 or 1:19? Be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger, for the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. We were very slow to speak on this one.
Yeah.
We were very quick to listen. And we always knew that if we're ever going to go speak about this, it can't be from a place of anger, vindictiveness, because then it's not of God.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the process in this whole thing was us getting to a place of forgiveness, so that now we could speak from a place of love.
We were out of the way and God was going to be glorified.
And I kept wanting to unsheath the sword. We kept praying about it, like, Lord, I'm about to go like primeval. And he's like, nope, take a knee, keep the sword sheathed.
Because
and
that's
I know
what people
now,
expected.
Sure.
Yeah.
This was unexpected.
Yeah.
Being the, slow to everything.
Slow and wait. And it was when he developed those things in us as a family, not just me, not just you, but, sometimes you'd get further than I would and you'd be praying, and then vice versa. And like you said, when we'd align, and it was like, okay, we have consistency in counsel, we have consistency in thought.
Consistency and peace.
Consistency and peace about this decision. As hard as it is to cross this threshold, now it is time to unsheath the sword, because now it's a sword of truth.
Yeah.
And it's coming from a place of love. And that is biblical. That is scriptural. And I think God honored that process as we just kept, again, submitting to his sovereignty through that.